Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. I am Heather with Rosehill Paper Cottage, and I'm going to do a voiceover this time. It's really hard to create with just, that freedom that you have when you're looking at things while also trying to have to talk at the same time. So I'll just talk through it and everything that I'm kind of doing, which right now I'm kind of showing you like where I'm at. Just all the different pages. And I've added a few things here and there. But for the most part, I've just kind of got things kind of just set in. I'm not really sure if they're going to stay there or not. And but I'm just kind of showing you the arrangement of my papers. And there we are at the end of it. And I'm just showing you some things that I've like tucked in. So here's some different papers that I grabbed that I kind of thought, well, they kind of go, the colors, they resonate with kind of the style I'm looking at. And I'm just showing you that's from American Crafts, which I got it Tuesday morning. And then the Bloom pack with Maggie Holmes, some of those yellows and greens really match. So here I'm just, pulling out some more stuff and just showing you I pull a lot. I like to have like a lot of choices. I like to have it all kind of, within arm's reach to grab different things while I'm creating. But you'll kind of see. You'll see like I just kind of go all over the place. There's really no rhyme or reason. I just kind of start in some certain spots and just, and then, I'll think about things and I'll jump around. So I think I'm going to ink this wallpaper printable a little bit more. And on the back of it, I put piano paper from the old rolls. I thought it looked kind of cool, kind of like a backing of an old wallpaper already. And I just tried to make it look real just by the way I tore it. And on the other side, I just have some scrapbook paper and I'm trying to decide, I just feel like the top needs something. So I'm looking at a couple different washi tapes, seeing what I like. And a lot of times when I do washi, I always do them kind of like at an angle, like they were just like slapped on to fix a crease or a tear to try to just make it look, natural. So I go with the skinnier one. I just like the coloring and the way that it looked a little bit better. And I wrap it to the back because eventually this is going to be a side pocket. And then I put a little bit over on this invoice just because I just felt like it needed like a little bit of something. So I'm tacking it in place because that's what I do a lot. I usually tack things down with a little bit of glue when I'm for sure of what's going to happen before I go and sew. And then that's a little piece of embossed handmade paper, and I'm just trying to decide where I want it. I distress the edges a little bit too. And then that's going to be kind of like a little bit of a little tuck. So now I'm trying to decide about this handmade paper. I'm trying to decide if I want to make that into a pocket. And on the other side, I have this vellum map with a flower as well. So I'm just trying to see do I like the way that it closes? It doesn't quite fit on there, but maybe with this wallpaper on the back side of it, it will. So now I'm just distressing some of that wallpaper, and I use scissors a lot of times to distress. Sometimes I'll tear, sometimes I'll use the scissors. It just depends. And, if you go along, that the side of it and stuff, it, it distresses it, nicely. And I also distress with the ink on the back side because I'm really kind of making this look a little bit more worn. And so I want the other side to kind of be like a brownish color as well. And I'm just using the beacon glue all over to adhere that down, because that side won't be a pocket. So then, the future user can, tape something to it right on top of it, whatever they want to do. But I just thought it looked really good with the green cabbage dyed paper in the background. And now I'm going to affix this handmade paper, the embossed handmade paper. And I believe it'll end up being a pocket. I glue it so that it can be a pocket. But I might change my mind later. You just never know. And when you do something like that, so like that book page, it's like either the beginning or an end of a book. They're thicker pieces. And then the handmade paper, is thick on top of it too. So it's kind of a hefty little, page really. So then on top of that, then putting something into the pocket, it just gets to be kind of like a heavier, pocket. So we'll see. I mean, it's pretty as is too. And I'm just distressing a little bit more. I needed to trim. And that's actual real wallpaper there. And I decided to stress a little bit of that book page, which is actually adhered to the coffee dyed paper or tea dyed paper, whichever it is. So now I'm taking a look at this page and I'm trying to decide like if I want to put anything, there. And I end up moving on. I end up, just if something's not, saying, yes, put me there, then I usually will just move on. So I'm looking back through and I'm looking to see where all my pockets are right now. And then I kind of think about putting it here, but I don't. And I'll grab some other like different materials and fabrics to just take a look at them and see some different spots. But I don't end up going with any of this. And that's the thing. You'll look at different things and, if they're just not saying yes, then I just don't go through with it. I think that's the philosophy in life. If there's any kind of like doubt, then I just don't do it. Until I'm like, yes, this feels right. This is good. So now I'm starting on the other side of that book page, and I'm going to work on this other pocket. So I have that vellum map, and then I put the floral on top of it. I just really like how all the colors, are, and I'm deciding what I'm going to do, what type of pocket I want there, or a tuck. And I feel like that floral needs just a little bit, because it's just on, I think it's just on regular copy paper. That's what it felt like. It didn't feel like it was, on a very, like decent paper. So I just feel like it needs a little bit of reinforcement. And so I just glued it to that book page. And then I'm just tearing it with the ruler and then roughing up the edges a little bit. Because again, I don't want anything really in this quilt to be incredibly perfect. And then at first I was going to like stitch those two together and then decide. But then I was like, I think I'm going to make them both into like a tuck spot. So I don't make either of them a complete pocket. I end up just making the whole thing into like two tucks there. Which I think turned out really, really cute. So now I felt like the vellum was a little bit too wide. Actually, I'm going to do an eyelet first. I forgot about that part. So I'm choosing my eyelet. And I think I just go with silver. I don't really want to, I want to put an embellishment there, but I don't really want to distract from the map and the flower. And it looks like the sun's peeking out a bit there. Got real bright. which I never really truly notice when I'm crafting. So this is where I decide that the vellum is hanging over just a little bit too much. So I'll spend a little time here, making that look a little bit better so that it bends easy when it's in the signature. Because the thicker things get, the tougher they are to, flip back and forth. And you'll see too when it's in there that it kind of stands up a little bit. So we'll see if I end up doing anything else to it later, but I won't do it here. I'm looking for my precision. So sorry about all the the wobbly camera there. So there we go. That flips a lot better now. And I'm a little more satisfied, but I'm still kind of bending it. So now I'm going to this, it's this invoice, and I have this Tim Holtz stencil. And so I did a little bit of texture paste over it. And then I sort of kind of attached it a little bit to this recipe page. But then I decided I wanted to tear a little bit more of it. So I'm going back and distressing a little bit of it. And then I'll glue it in place. I'll eventually probably sew it, but I need to make sure if I'm going to do anything to the back side first. Again, I go through everything and just kind of tack or paper clip, things in place first before I do too much sewing, unless the back side of something's done. So here I kind of don't like how brown, the yellow, I don't like the way that the shape of it, I guess, is what I should say. It doesn't look natural there. It looks really strange. So I'm looking for a way to cover that up. What I'm talking about is the coffee stain there on that invoice. But I also am thinking about covering up the, just the side pocket there as well. And the other page is green. You'll see when the sun kind of goes away again, you'll see more of the color better and what it looks like. There we go. So the other page is green, so I'm trying to pull in a little bit of, green with the yellow on the yellow page. And I go through a few things and some different positions, and then nothing really, I don't end up really liking anything. Nothing's really saying, yeah, this looks, great. And not that they're bad options. They all really would have worked, but none of them really spoke to me that, that's where they should go. So I'll end up doing something completely different here, but that doesn't mean that I won't go back then afterwards and do something here. But in this video, I actually don't take care of this pocket here. I'll do something to the inside instead. So you'll see that shortly. It may shock you what I do. I'm most drawn to that flower piece that I have up there. But that's just how this is. It's a lengthy process. I probably filmed a little over an hour, I guess, maybe. And I've got this down to, I think, about a 20-minute, video. And I'm nowhere near, being done. And I'm probably not even halfway done. So a lot of time goes into this part for me, a lot of time. And I do all this before actually putting the signature in, because you have less freedom when your pages aren't free. When they're bound in, it's a lot harder to do stuff. So I kind of was going to move on, and then I kind of keep coming back, and I'm spending a lot of time right here. And normally I don't. Normally I move on a little bit quicker, so I don't know. But I really just don't like that coffee stain. It's really bothering me. And I think messing with my overall vision for this particular spread. So there we go. So I thought, wadding up paper. Why not? That's going to take care of it. So I wad up this, what's left over from a printable. I think I'm messing with the, the curtains there. It got so dark. But then sometimes it gets way too bright because the sun peeks in and out of the clouds. So it's really hard because this window is like as big as the wall practically. So it's just really big. So I'm getting this, cut to size. And at this point, I actually don't even know if this works. I am just like kind of going with it, just going with my feeling here and trying something, and I'm going to see if it's going to work. And now I'm just kind of like going over all of the like wrinkly bits from me wadding it up to just kind of bring in some aging, to it. Kind of like, it was this like leftover wallpaper that was just like thrown into a bag or something, and, it was discarded, and then I found it, and then I'm going to make it try to work here. So let's see if I get it to work. And I end up really liking it. But again, I might go back to that side tuck. So then from one of the wallpapers that I tore, I totally get distracted, and I'm like, hey, let me do something with this piece. But that's absolutely how my mind works, both when I'm being creative and in life. I get distracted, and I'm like, oh, look at that. Let's talk about that. So I've decided to just clean my space all of a sudden, and I'm ready to attach this. So I'm just taking it to the sewing machine and getting it stitched up. And that's because I've got something on the front and something on the back. And if I choose to do anything else, it's not going to hinder what I've got going on. So that's just on a thin piece of paper as well. So I glue it down. I just like the way that it looks. And now I'm just kind of like flattening the stitch holes down. And my sewing machine kind of ate up a little bit at the top there. So I kind of took out a little bit of the thread. I don't mind when it messes up, but when it leaves like a big, like glob of thread, I'm not too crazy about it. So I may have to go back there and put some stitches in, but we'll see. I don't worry about stuff like that, really. And I'm just clipping these back on. I haven't really decided if they'll stay, but I like looking at them there. So who knows? So I'm kind of looking back through here, and I'm deciding like, what should I do with this pocket? I really love that wallpaper back there. But that is the actual size that it prints out from the collage of 4 on the Wallpaper Digital, which is in Heather's shop, Ruby and Pearl. And I'll put that down below. But all of her wallpapers, there's like 4 different wallpapers. And then you can also print out one that has all 4 on them. So it's not quite wide enough. So I'm kind of playing around with like putting ledger to the side of it. Or music. Or a letter. But this is what I do. I like constantly, look at things, and I think what I end up deciding doing here is that I don't really like any of the options much. The ledger resonates with me the most, but I kind of don't like the way that the blue pocket is wider. So now you'll see me get distracted again. I'll kind of like move on. And I feel like this page is a little too long, so then I go ahead and just trim it up. And since I've already used like that map vellum, I'm not really sure if I want to use it. But I had considered making it a pocket. So I completely get distracted, and I am going to take this piece of wallpaper that I was kind of messing around with, and I'll put it on this bag. And I jumped the gun a little bit, and I used the glitter glue, and you know, you don't have much time to work with that when you've stuck something down, but you'll see what I do, and then I make it work. And I think actually we're nearing the end of the video, because it just was getting so dark and I didn't think that you could really see, you know, what I was doing as well. So I'll film again, and there'll be kind of like a part 2 to this so that you see more of my process and kind of what I do. But I really appreciate all the positive feedback, and I really do appreciate that you have been watching and following along. And then I'll see you in the next video, guys. Have a good day.